A blessed day, my dear classmates, and welcome to the continuation of our discussion on Chapter 7. So last time, I presented to you the first part, which is the terrestrial biomes. Now, I'm going to discuss to you about the aquatic biomes. So aside from the land biomes, we need to understand also that there is another type, which is the aquatic biomes. So we're going to discuss, or I'm going to present to you different important details regarding this aquatic biome. So we're going to look on to those different kinds of species, the coral reefs, a lake, and maybe also this kind of aquatic biome. Okay, so let's start with the factors now that is affecting or influencing now the aquatic biome. So there are also what we call abiotic factors that influence or influencing the aquatic biomes. Let's start with the very first one, the depth of water. So since we talk about aquatic biomes, particularly when we talk about the ocean, so there's a certain zone that the light cannot already penetrate or cannot pass through. So again, now the depth of the water will affect now the penetration of the light. And we know that when we talk about the light, or particularly the sunlight, what we call this one, there is a big impact of the light because it will also serve as one of the bases of the survival of the marine organisms, and that maintains also the aquatic biomes. And what else? Freshwater in marine ecosystem will be discussed also in this topic, and at the same time it is considered to be abiotic in freshwater and marine ecosystem. There are certain abiotic factors also that will be discussed later on this presentation. Now, and for example, let's say the movement of the water or the movement of the fresh water. Let's say, for example, in a stream or rivers, there are some reasons why the water is running fast or running slow. Now, let's say, for example, the river in that particular river, the water is running fast, meaning there is a colder water, or there is a colder temperature in that particular river. So again, an example of a biotic factor is the temperature. So if there is a colder water in that river, meaning it is moving faster, compared now on a part wherein the river is or the water in that river is hotter or warmer, meaning it is moving slower. And thermal properties, and I have said the temperature. So heating and cooling is also one of the abiotic factors that influence now the aquatic biome. So either in the streams or in the fresh water, or either in the salt water. So in the ocean, there is also some parts of the ocean that is or because of the thermal properties or the temperature, it also affects now the survival of the marine organisms or the living organisms in this particular biomes, or maybe this type of ecosystem. And water movements or the currents, there is also an effect or considered to be an abiotic factor in the aquatic biome. So depending if there is a strong current or maybe a weak current, that will be discussed also later on in this presentation. And climate and weather patterns definitely are affecting now the aquatic biomes. So example again, yung extreme weather events, typhoon, climate, the changes of climate. So climate changes, or climate change, and one of the common problems that we are facing, or environmental problem that we are facing during this time, even before. And that really is an example of an abiotic factor that influence now the aquatic biomes. And those are the general abiotic factors. Now, when we talk about the ocean or the salt water, or particularly the ocean, there are layers, or let's say different zones that we need to take note. So for us to understand about the ocean, we need to understand also that there are some levels or zones on this ocean. So we have what we call the intertidal zone, wherein that is already in the land part, or near already on the soiled or land part of the ocean. And we have what we call the neretic zone, that is the first zone of this of the ocean, and we're in the hot, or to say the warm and cold water meets in that particular zone. So neretic zone, that is still a shallow part. And then if we move on to the if we move on, or let's say extend on the other, or farther away from the sand or away from the land or away from the neritic zone, that's the time that we can say that this is already the oceanic zone. And if we go deeper, we have the photic zone. From the word itself, photic or photon, no? So that is pertaining now to lights. So in this photic zone, it is where only the light can penetrate, or we're in the zone wherein the light can pass through. So the sunlight can penetrate or pass through in this particular zone. So yan lang actually yung part kung saan nagpapass through yung ating light. So it means that it is wherein there is a light, so we can still see the inside of that particular part of the ocean or zone of the ocean. But if we go deeper, there is already what we call a photic zone. So a photic zone, so this is the opposite now of photic zone. So it means that if we reach now the aphotic zone, there is no light already because there is no penetration of the light. So light cannot pass through already in this zone. And if we go deeper, yan, from the aphotic zone going deeper, we already have what we call the abyssal zone. In abyssal zone, considered to be the deepest part of the ocean. And at that part is really dark. It's darker compared in the aphotic zone. But even in the aphotic zone, there is no light already. But if we go deeper, it is more you cannot really see anything because it is already very deep part of the ocean. So the ocean is divided based on water depth and then distance from the shoreline. So in the shoreline, wherein you start in intertidal zone, and then you have the neritic zone, wherein the mixture or the warm in the cold water mix. So if you have gone through the ocean, if you go to the ocean already, let's say sa mga resort or beach, maybe I think most of you have been to the ocean already or in the beach. You will feel actually if you go to this neritic zone, or if you are walking into the neritic zone or in the shallower part of this ocean, you will feel actually the mixture. If we extend going to the oceanic zone, you will feel the warm and cold water. So dito sa part ng neritic zone, since we are still touching the land part, definitely we can still feel yung warmer type of water of the ocean. But if we extend it going now to the oceanic zone or near or close to the oceanic zone, we can feel already the cold part, and because we are already going deeper on the ocean. So as we go deeper, definitely we can expect that there is a colder temperature of the water, because of the penetration of the light. So doon sa photic zone, it is more warmer compared doon sa aphotic and then abyssal zone. So that is true also if you are watching movies, especially if you are watching movies. Let's say for example, yung mga movie na merong submarine that is going down, that is basically the reality now when we talk about the zones of the ocean. So as we go deeper also, the pressure of the ocean is also getting stronger as we go deeper. And in this if you look at this the illustration, you can see there aphotic zone, and abyssal zone is considered to be or described as pelagic realm. And on the other side, you have there what we call the benthic realm. So in the benthic realm, that is where you can find the sediments, so that is already deeper. There's also a deeper part of the ocean, deeper than the abyssal zone. Let's say for example, yung tinatawag natin na trench, so abyssal zone going to the ocean trench, that is already in the benthic realms. But basically when you talk about benthic realm, that is the where you can find the sediments, so either organic or inorganic sediments, yung mga remains of marine organisms and maybe plants, and plants or sea creatures, etc. So you can see there in the benthic realm, it is described as 10,000 meters below yung parts na yan, and it's extended part of the ocean where you can find also until the part of Neretic zone and even in the intertidal zone. So sa benthic realm, you can find the sediments, yan, extended doon hanggang sa Neretic zone. But anyways, I hope that you remember, no, those different zones or different parts of the ocean. And we have a short historical review, no, in line to this, in line to ocean or water, since we know that if you are familiar with the discovery, you know, of the Mariana Trench, yan, we just get a look on this short historical view. Before, yan, we know that they tried not to reach the deepest part of the ocean, which is the Mariana Trench, yan, and the Trieste, the vessel that Pickard and Walsh took the Challenger Deep, or took to Challenger Deep, which is the deepest part of the Mariana Trench. That is what we call the Challenger Deep, because from the word itself, no, the term itself na Challenger Deep, yan, is a challenge to go down there. So before, yan, the very first one to attempt, now we have the vessel, or let's say the submarine that they used by Pickard and then Walsh, yan, to go that particular part of the ocean, which is the Challenger Deep. They managed to reach the Challenger Deep, but in a very short period of time, because during the earlier time, we don't have yet a advanced type of technology that can last long, or the metals or the materials that use is not that really strong compared during the 21st century. No? So they just lasted for maybe less or more or less 5 to 10 minutes only below, and then they go they even experience, note that the power of the submarine was definitely interrupted due to the pressure below, no, that part or in the Challenger Deep. But they managed actually to reach the deepest part of the ocean. So that is the very first time that a human being or discovered, or let's say reached now the deepest part of the ocean, which is the Challenger Deep. That is the deepest part of the Mariana Trench. And in 2012, yan, this is what we call the phenomenal, or let's say the breakthrough, no, of this reaching now the Challenger Deep. We have, I know that if you have heard, no, if you are not yet familiar, but I think most of you know that James Cameron, yan, considered to be the very first one to reach now or touches down at the Challenger Deep. Yan, so the deepest part of the ocean in 2012 was reached by James Cameron. And so they use now an advanced type of submarine, no, to reach that particular part of the ocean, which is in the Mariana Trench. So yung deepest part ng Mariana Trench is basically the Challenger Deep. And you can find also in that particular part, or in that Challenger Deep, hydrothermal vents like this line, no, the floor of the Mariana Trench. So this is what you can see below, down there, and you can also see a lot of type of animals or marine or organisms or type of fishes that can be seen in that particular part of the ocean. So it means that there are also some types of fishes or animals or maybe marine organisms that can live in that particular part of the ocean. And again, take note, no, that Mariana Trench, and then the deepest part of Mariana Trench is considered to be the Challenger Deep. So so the Mariana Trench is the deepest trench in the world, and Challenger Deep is the deepest part of the trench. Okay, so this is now the according to study, according to the reference, the deepest point is the Challenger Deep, and that is around 35,728 feet. That is deeper, if or let's say higher, compared to the Mount Everest, which is only 29,029 feet. And take note that is already very, very high. But when you talk about the deepest part of the ocean, yeah, that is more than actually the Mount Everest, if you're going to compare it. So it's really deep. Yeah. So the abyssal part, and then the benthic realm, and also we have what we call the Challenger Deep. Okay, so very dark, very high pressure. But the people or human being manages to reach down that part, and they're still studying, the Mariana Trench. What are other animals that we can find there? For example, you have there the frilled shark, Now, this is considered to be a type of shark, again, that can live in that particular part. What else? We have also the giant spider crab. Yan, that is this is based actually on National Geography. So I took this on National Geography. And we also have Atlantic wolf fish pair. So you have there two fish, definitely a pair. And Atlantic wolf fish, this is a type of fish that can survive below the ocean or in that particular part of the ocean. And we also have the fang-tooth fish. And so it's like a type of piranha, no? If you're watching movies, just like similar to piranha. Yan. And we also have a 6-gill shark that you can find in this part. And we also have the giant tube worms. Okay, so it's like a coral reefs, but those are actually worms. And that type of worms can survive in the Mariana Trench. Okay. And we also have vampire squid. So it's very weird, but that is still another type of a type of squid, no, that can survive in Mariana Trench. And we have what we call the Pacific viper fish. No? So same as true with the wolf fish, no, pero I think it has a larger tooth compared, or teeth, no, compared to the wolf fish. So we have the Pacific viper. So it's like a viper, yung kanyang structure ng head. So Pacific viper fish. So it's still color blue. And we have also wolf, again wolf fish. Sorry, naulit lang yan. And this is now the blobfish. No? So this is considered to be the ugliest type of or the ugliest fish in the world. Yan. So this is what it looks like at the deepest part of the ocean, or in the ocean, in the Mariana Trench. But once it is exposed in outside, yan, outside this, or you took this fish and then move out in the Mariana Trench, definitely it will be exposed outside, and it will turn out to become like this. That's why it is considered to be the ugliest type of fish in the world, yung blobfish natin. But again, no, it's not really ugly, no, in the part wherein it can survive, but if it is exposed, because when you talk about these fishes, no, or these marine organisms that can live or survive in that particular part, they are adapting, no, on the environment. Let's say, for example, because of the pressure, because of the different maybe chemicals or maybe other types of nutrients that they can find below, no, or in that particular part, and they have a different structure. But once it is exposed outside, they will have a different structure already, or they have a different body structure. Yan. So take note on that one, yung adaptation, no, yung adaptation ng environment. Okay, so this is now the blobfish, and below the Mariana Trench, but outside this is very it's really ugly. So the ugliest fish in the world, the blobfish. All right, so let's proceed now on the one of the main topic now of this aquatic biome. So marine biomes, we have the ocean. Now, as I have mentioned to you already, different zones are known as the saltwater. We also have coral reefs as considered to be a marine biome, because coral reefs is considered to be let's say equivalent, no, to if we have tropical rainforest and terrestrial biome, in marine biomes we have what we call the coral reefs. So coral reefs is considered to be a tropical rainforest in the ocean. So coral reefs is a type also of marine biomes. And estuaries, that is the coast that we can find in the coastal areas. Estuaries is actually the meeting place of the ocean water, or the salt water, and the fresh water, and that is considered to be another type of marine biome. Marine biome, or marine biome. So that is the meeting place, no, of again the salt water and then the fresh water. Estuaries. That's why it is termed as in the coastal areas. And let's start with the first one, again, ocean. So let us just review the different parts now of the ocean. So yung different zones. So intertidal zone, we can find the sandy beach, and then the rocky or muddy part, and the shore that was struck by waves. pounding waves where you can find algae and then plants. Neretic zone extends from the intertidal zone where we can find silt and well oxygenated the part of the ocean, and then low pressure and stable temperature. In the oceanic zone, or let's say the meeting place of oceanic zone and neretic zone, yeah, that is already the open ocean area, and where you can find the warm and cold water mixture. So sabi ko nga kanina, my dear classmate, you will feel actually the changes of water temperature as you proceed now going to the oceanic zone. Okay? And again, review. Yan. So we have there the intertidal zone, the neretic zone, and we have the oceanic zone. And we also have the photic zone, the aphatic zone, and abyssal zone. So example that we can find in the these parts, or this let's say in intertidal zone, in neretic zone, we can find this starfish. So makakita tayo dyan ng starfish and other kinds of crustaceans. And makakita din tayo dyan ng crustaceans, sea urchins, mussel shells. Yung shells definitely, no, most of the time dyan tayo nakakakita. And this was taken in the Kachimak Bay of Alaska. Yeah, so credit to NOAA. So that is an example of marine organisms that we can find in this particular part of the ocean. And as we go deeper, abyssal zone is considered to be the deepest part, and very cold and very high pressure, high oxygen and low nutrient, and no plants because of lack of light. So if you observe in the photic zone, definitely in the photic zone, we can still find their plants or sea plants, or definitely the coral reefs can be found also in the photic zone because there is a penetration of the light. And hydrothermal vents, so like for example in the Mariana Trench, now we can find the hydrothermal vents, but still there are chemosynthetic bacteria that can survive in this particular hydrothermal vents. And below abyssal zone, we have still the benthic zone. So beneath already, and we can find there the sand, the silt, and I have said yung dead organisms, so sediments, we can find in the benthic zone. It is rich in nutrients since that is where you can find the remains or yung sediments. And we can also find their sponges, sea anemones, marine worms, sea stars. So we can still find sea stars since I have said that benthic zone extended until the intertidal zone, or until in the neretic zone. And fishes and then bacteria can be found also in this zone of the ocean. So yan, go again in the different parts of the ocean. So photic zone, aphatic zone, abyssal zone, and then we also have the benthic zone, benthic realm, or the benthic zone. So again, photic zone, there is a penetration of the light, and aphatic zone, starting already of the starting zone wherein there is no penetration of the sunlight. Okay? And aside from the ocean, let's talk about coral reefs. So coral reefs are found mostly in the photic zone since that is wherein the penetration of the light. So coral reefs still needs light or sunlight for survival. So it is where warm in shallow water, photic zone. And they are considered to be invertebrates, no backbone, and evolved millions of years. So again, that's why coral reefs is very important, because it is considered to be a habitat or home of different marine organisms, and they evolved throughout for the past decades, or for the million years already. So even before, or even during the time of dinosaurs, we already have coral reefs, because it is considered to be a part of, let's say, a habitat or home of different marine organisms, and fishes, and etc. Saltwater polyps, they are known also as calcium carbonate skeleton when you talk about coral reefs. So saltwater polyps and then calcium carbonate skeleton. And they have a mutual relationship with photosynthetic algae. So you see, even the coral reefs and then algae, there is what we call a mutual relationship between them, because algae is also considered to be part of maintaining the coral reefs, and so that's why algae is important to coral reefs. And take note that algae is also serve as food of other kinds of marine organisms, or let's say a type of fishes. Yan. And as I've said, no, it is a habitat or home of more than 4,000 fish species in the ocean. So that's why coral reefs are very important. No? So no wonder why we are protecting or we're taking care of these kinds of biome, yung ating coral reefs. And due to human activities, because of climate change also, and then global warming, yan, we are giving distractions or we are putting strain on the coral reefs. So this will lead now to what we call bleaching and addition of carbon dioxide, acidity of the ocean because of the industries or progression of industries because of climate change and the increase of temperature that affects now these coral reefs, and yung global warming. And that will lead also to the loss of food and shelter of the different marine organisms, and because of the runoff of sediments and agricultural chemicals, that will lead now to cloud the ocean and also bleaching. So we have this kind of incident before, way back 2012 and 2015 here in the Philippines. That is the sad thing that happened during that time, but it's good now that we are having already different kinds of laws and policies to avoid this kind of incident again, that will happen during this modern time or during this present time. So we need that's why they also phase out different kinds of products that will bring distraction within these coral reefs. Okay? And yung overfishing that is also being noticed or monitored by these responsible people or organizations or institutions to protect now our coral reefs. And overfishing. So coral reefs are one of the most let's say most important type of biome in the or type of marine biome, so that we need to consider or we need to learn about it, because they are considered to be a home or habitat of marine organisms or different kinds or types of fishes. So normally, coral reefs are formed by the calcium carbonate skeletons, or they are actually known also as calcium carbonate skeleton, and they are invertebrates and known as the phylum Cnidaria. Okay, so that is a term used by or description by Terry Hughes, and so that is all about the coral reefs. So hoping that in the future there is still more, what's that we call this one, there is more policies or laws or humans will be more responsible enough to take care of our coral reefs. And again, coral reefs are a type of marine biome or aquatic biome, so considered to be equivalent to tropical rainforest in the terrestrial biome. So most diverse biome of aquatic type of aquatic biome yung ating coral reefs. Alright, so aside from coral reefs, aside from the ocean, we need to understand also that there is a meeting place of the ocean and then the rivers or the fresh water, which is what we call the estuaries. So oceans meets fresh water, and fresh and salt water are being mixed in that particular part or type of biome, and it is where we can find most of the time the offspring of crustaceans, mollusks, fishes. So why is it that we can find offspring here? Because we know that fresh water will balance now the acidity of the ocean water or the salt water, and we can find, or fishes or offspring can find more nutrients in this particular part of the biome which is the estuaries. So estuaries is very important part of the marine biome, or considered to be a very important type of marine biome. And the salinity or rate of flow is actually normal or balanced compared now in the ocean and then in the let's say in the fresh water or in the river itself. So mas balance actually yung rate of flow here in the estuaries, and also yung salinity or even yung acidity is a balance. And but then during the high tides, the salt water will dominate now the fresh water, and during the low tides, definitely it is wherein the fresh water will dominate also the ocean water. So in the normal tide, definitely they have a balance of acidity, balance of the rate of flow of the water current, and that is wherein most of the time now offsprings are surviving or growing well, no, in that particular part. So if they will become if they will be grown matured enough, they will, that's the time that will go either in the river or maybe going down now to the ocean. So it is also one of the reason why we can find, let's say, a small type of an offspring of a swordfish, no, dito sa estuaries, because there it is where the part we're in, or a type of biome we're in, they will develop in the early stage. Yan. So estuaries, where you can find the offspring of fishes. And there are also some types of plants that we can find in estuaries. You have there the halophytes or halophytic plants. I'm going to show you the picture later on. And type of other kinds of organisms that we can find, we have there the mussels or mussels, and then we have also the clams or the phylum, and then the mollusca that we can find in that particular biome. And this is now what we call the halophytes, no? So this is what you can find in the estuaries. And okay, that's it's an example again of halophytes. So it is really where you can see the let's say it's the boundary, no? Let's say boundary between freshwater and then the ocean, no? So before we cross over to the ocean, we need to pass through what we call yung estuaries, and that is the halophytes. So example of halophytes. And this is also some examples of crustaceans that we can find in this particular part of the our type of marine biome, no? So we have their crustaceans. Yan. Saan nyo makikita yung mga where you can find the crab, yan, the crayfish, and a shrimp, and etc. Okay. Alright, so aside from the estuaries, so since we finished already estuaries, now let's move on now to the freshwater. So from the ocean, going to the estuaries, now going now to the freshwater. So freshwater, we have two kinds actually of freshwater. No, we have what we call the standing water, that is normally known as the lakes and then ponds, and we also have the rivers or streams, wherein considered to be a flowing water. So that is two types of fresh water. Again, no, standing water or standing fresh water, and then flowing fresh water. So let's start with aside from these two, we also have what we call wetlands. So they are still considered to be a standing water, but it is a different type of fresh water, no, yung ating wetlands. So wetlands, I'm going to show you a picture later on so that you will understand more about that one. But let's start first with the terms, no, that is in line to other important terms to learn about freshwater. So freshwater considered to be a drinkable water. Yan. So 1%, no, 1% of fresh water is considered to be a drinkable water, and we're in the source of crop irrigation. Yan. Sanitation is also done, and because of the industries, no, industries are also using this type of water, so yung mga fresh water. So it is now the, if we look at it is in general, this is the ecosystem services that is being provided by the fresh water. So drinking, crop irrigation, sanitation, and then even the industries are using the fresh water. And what are the types of, or normal, or let's say common type of organisms that we can find in fresh water? Yan, andyan ang phytoplankton, let's say the algae, and then the cyanobacteria. What else? Zooplanktons also. Yan, rotifers, small crustaceans. Nitrogen and phosphorus are also present now in fresh water. But if there will be a too much presence of this nitrogen and phosphorus, or let's say there's an excess, no, of phosphorus and nitrogen, that's the time that there is already what we call an algal bloom. So algal bloom, that is the rapid growth of the algae, and there is a big impact or a negative impact in particular freshwater, especially when you talk about lakes and then pond. If there will be an algal bloom, yan, there will be a a negative impact. Let's say for example, they trap now, or they stop now the penetration of the light. Now, and not only that one, not only light, but also oxygen and other kinds of nutrients that will enter now the lake or the ponds. So that is why algal bloom is one big problem that we can face, no, in particular freshwater. So example, in Lake Erie in Gulf of Mexico, and this is what happens. So it is full of algae, so that is actually an algal bloom, and it can really affect now the survival of the marine organism, or let's say the fishes that is staying in this particular lake or this type of fresh water. So you see, no, there is also a big impact of too much phosphorus and then nitrogen. So because of the industry or progression of industries, or let's say because of this climate change, and sometimes we have this kind of incident or cases, no, that is happening in a lake or maybe in a pond, yung algal bloom. Alright, so uncontrolled growth of algae or yung rapid growth of algae. And as we all know, yes, algae is also a type of food, no, of some type of fishes, but not all fishes will definitely eat this algae. So pag mayroong algal bloom, definitely is already a big problem. Okay, so here in the Philippines, yan, a very good example also of lake. We have the Ambuklao Lake in Bukod, Benguet, and that is an example of a lake or a pond or standing water. Now, let's proceed now to the flowing water, or flowing fresh water. We have the rivers or streams, and we have the largest types of river that we can find in the world. We have the Nile River in Africa, we have the Amazon River in South America, and we also have the Mississippi River and in North America. So the largest type of river is considered to be the Nile River, and I think Amazon River is considered to be the longest river, no, in the world. So that is how they describe it, Nile River and then Amazon River. And in fresh water, or let's say in rivers or streams, there is what we call fast moving water and a slow moving water. So in a fast moving water, this is considered to be a colder type of river. So what types of animals that you can find? You can find there leeches or trout species, like for example yung in our term, no, we have what we call yung trout type of fishes or species. We have what we call the wading or bunog. We also have the mosquito fishes, and we also have the igat or eels, and paltat or the catfish. So those are the types of fishes or organisms that you can find in this fast moving water, because they are considered to be trout fish or trout species, no? So they are actually stuck on that maybe in a particular part of this fast moving water, especially on the rocks, no? They are stick on that rock. So that is the characteristic of a trout fish, no? And it is cold and low in nutrients and clear. So clear type of water yung fast moving water in that river. So if you have seen a fast moving river or water in that particular river, so it is definitely a colder water, and it has a lower nutrients, but then it is clear compared now to the slow moving water in that, or slow moving water in that river, that is actually warmer, no, and then having a higher nutrients, because it does not carry away faster, or cannot really the nutrients cannot be carried away by the fast rate movement of the water, no? So slow moving water is much more in nutrients and then warmer, but it is not that clear compared now to fast moving water. So what are the organisms that you can find normally? You can find their worms, insects, waterfowl, and then frogs, and then fishes, and other kinds of fishes that can also survive, no, in this slow moving water. So warmer, wet, and as I have said, no, warmer and then richer type of water, and then not that really clear compared to fast moving water. Okay, so those are the two types of water in the river or in stream, and that is again another type of fresh water, yung ating rivers and streams. And aside from these rivers and streams and even yung lakes and then ponds, we also have the wetlands. So wetlands are permanent or permanently, or not really permanent, but most of the time, no, are periodically saturated with water. So again, it is another kind of fresh water. So if you have heard about wetlands, they are shallow type of it has a shallow type of water, and then they can be dry out, no? So sabihin natin it's seasonal, no? Because during the summertime, there's no water, and or let's say there is very little water in that particular land or the wetlands, no? And there are also certain time that it will dry out, yan, due to the extensive, or let's say extreme hot summer season. Okay, and what are some organisms or maybe type of plants that you can find here? Marshes and swamps, bugs, mud floods, salt marshes that can be found here. So this is now an example of a photo of the wading or bunog. And this is actually a, let's say, a local type of fishes now that we can find in the river. We also have this kind of trout fish, you know, in the ocean. They are much way bigger and then have a stronger or stiffer type of bones, no, compared now to this type of fishes that we can find in the river. So normally, since freshwater is more, there is more nutrient compared in the ocean, or the ocean is more acidic compared to the freshwater. That's why maybe they have said now that it depends on the environment. They adapt already, no, depending on the environment. So in the freshwater or in the rivers, and you can find that they are smaller and they have a softer bones compared doon sa ocean that you can find similar type of fish. Okay, and we have the mosquitoes, and that is a picture of mosquitoes. And we also have another type of trout fish. Okay, and we have the paltat or yung catfish, no, in English term. And you can find this one in the rivers. And we have also the eel, and eel or igat, no, in our term. I don't know what is your term, but that is our term that we use, no, in our place or in our province. So igat or eel in English. We can still find types of eels, no, in the ocean. So they are way much bigger and then longer compared on those eels that we can find in the ocean, in the rivers, I should say. Okay. Now this is an example of this wetland, no? So this is located in southern Florida. Everglades National Park is an example of this wetland, and you can see there sawgrass marshes, cypress swamps, and then mangrove trees, no? So you can find there mangrove trees. So most of the time, commonly in a mangrove forest, that is considered to be a wetland. Yan, kasi there is a shallow part or shallow water part. Yan. And that is how it looks like when we talk about wetlands. So during the summer season, or during to very extreme temperature during summer season, this is being being dry out, no? But during the normal days or normal seasons, yeah, you can find there a shallower part of, or shallower water part of the wetland. And okay, so that is now the last type of marine biome, which is the wetland. Okay, so the question is, we know that during this modern time, no, there is already we are facing, or even before, no, we are already facing climate change and then global warming, and even because of human activities, there is a big impact or effect on this particular biome. So, for example, now this is what happened last February 27, 2020. Yeah, so La Trinidad we get in particularly in part of what we call this one. I said forest fires in Benguet province, which have been intermittently burning since January, have raised an area bigger than San Juan City. Environment officials said this is last Wednesday of February 27, no? February 27, 2020. So last year, we know that there is a lot of occurrence of fires here in our country, particularly here in the northern part. So again, no, that will affect now yung terrestrial biome. And so that is not a natural cause, no, but is because of human activity. And If you are not yet aware, no, this is also again last 2020, February 4 and then February 13, 2020. Sorry, 2019 I should say. So 2019, this was recorded in the Antarctic, no. So if you all see, this is according to the data, no, upon the observation of the NASA, and upon the observation of NASA, accordingly, after 9 days, no, after 9 days from February 4 to February 13, 2019, they have seen the drastic melting of the part of this Antarctic island, no. So you see already the melting part after 9 days. So it melts 20% of the snow on the Antarctic island. So it only shows how the impact already of the climate change, or let's say the global warming. And also it contributes there is a contribution of the sonic occurrence, no, yung sonic natural occurring of the earth, or yung sonic waves na tinatawag natin, that is occurring in this particular part of the earth, no. So because of the sonic wave, and also because of this climate change and global warming, and it strengthened or it increased, no, yung power ng sonic waves. That's why we have this kind of incident last 2019. So hoping that in the future we can do something else with this type of natural thing that is happening in our part or different parts of the planet, especially in the Antarctic Ocean, Antarctic island. So basically it will reflect now why, no, or it only shows how the effect or the big impact of the global warming and climate change to the marine, to the different biomes, no, either a land biome or maybe in the water biome or aquatic biome. So as there is a melting of the ice or glacier part, we expect that there is also a increase of acidity in the ocean, and then yung sea level, no, it will increase now yung sea level. And again, the use of plastics. So even before, no, even during the previous discussions or the previous lessons, I always pertaining or highlighting the use of plastics, no. So plastics is very a dangerous type of material that will lead now to destruction or putting now a strain within our marine biome. Okay, and even in the land biome, no, so you have yung garbages or irresponsible way of waste disposal or garbage disposal. Yan. So that is the sad reality that we are facing. And yan, another example of the plastic. Okay. Let's say. Okay, so plastics, no, and then garbages are really destructful within our environment or even in the different types of biomes. And the good thing is that here in our country and even other countries, no, we have a lot of programs and policies and environmental protection laws. But here in the Philippines, we have some programs for environment. Yeah, so for example, we have the we have the volunteer organizations that is helping also to maintain now the health of the forest or the health of the environment or the different biomes. No? So you have there the Worldwide Fund for Nature, a volunteer organization here in the Philippines. What else? There are also some programs or activities, no, that we have what we call the Waves for Water. So there are some the Waves for Water are a project, no, of a volunteer organization again to help also the other parts of the Philippines or provinces of the Philippines that is lack of water. So they are helping them to provide now water sources, yan, or water to these provinces or to this particular maybe barangay or sitio, yan. And we also have Save Philippine Sea, yan. So again, volunteers, no, who are trying to clean up the sea or the ocean. So they are collecting plastics or other kinds of materials that is distracting the ocean. Or the sea. And we also have the Earth Island Institute, who are doing also volunteer activities such as picking up those plastics, yan, in the shore or the coastal areas. And We also have the Greenpeace Philippines. Again, those are volunteers who are segregating the garbages within different cities in Manila, or different parts of NCR, and other parts of the Philippines. And we also have the Haribon Foundation. So this is definitely more on, we are talking about already by to birds, no? So from the term ibon, yan, kaya nagkaroon ng Haribon Foundation, especially the Philippine eagle, no? So it is considered to be endangered already. That's why we are taking care of this kind of type of bird, yung ating Philippine eagle, and even other kinds of birds. Okay, and we have also the rare organization, no? They are promoting they are promoting, and then they are advocating or campaigning or even conducting webinars or trainings or programs to promote now or to be aware about climate change, and what are the things that we need to do, etc. So that is the program, or what is they are doing in the rare company or in the rare organization. Okay, and we also have the Mother Earth Foundation here in the country. So again, they are volunteers now on helping now the different parts of the Philippines, and so particular they are going to a particular province to have a maybe cleanup drive or check on what is the need, in terms or in line to the protection of our planet Earth, and tree planting program, etc. And we also have the Philippines Biodiversity Conservation Foundation, and so it protects now our biodiversity here in the Philippines, and Marine Wildlife Watch of the Philippines. So they are checking out the marine organisms here in our country, since we know that the Philippines is surrounded by ocean or sea, no? So that is actually a very good organization here in our country, yung Marine Wildlife Watch of the Philippines. So those are only some examples, and there's more actually that we can find, or there's more organizations, and even the local government unit or the NGOs in other institutions who are also doing their parts, or responsibilities on protecting also the animals, and even the different types of biomes, and even different types of ecosystem here in our country. And even other countries are also having their own types of organizations and other kinds of policies or laws to protect also the ocean or the other types of ecosystem or biomes. Okay, so that's it, my dear classmate. No, so in general, or to conclude, we need to understand the biomes, or let's say the ecosystem, through these different kinds of biomes. And as we understand about the biomes, we also know what are the things that we need to take, what are the things that we need to do, and the right things that we need to do, and we need to be concerned or to take care with those different kinds of biomes. So it's really good, to know about those information. I hope that you learned something about this discussion, and hope that you will be aware and more observant on what is happening around us, particularly in these different kinds of, when you talk about this ecosystem or when you talk about biomes. So that's it, my dear classmate. If you do have questions or concerns or clarifications, just post that one in our group chat or maybe in our Canvas. So thank you so much for joining me this discussion, and I'll see you on the next chapter, on the next discussion. Take care always, and then God bless.